What's up everyone, it's Iceman Oz, aka Jay. So today I wanted to give you my opinion on Rainbow Six Siege. Now to give you a background on my experience with this franchise, I haven't really spent a lot of time playing Tom Clancy games, from my memory, the only time I ever played one previously was with my cousins at their house, so I'm not vastly experienced, although I'm really reviewing this game and letting you know whether you should buy it based on the gameplay value itself. So that's really what I'm going to get into in this video. So to consider whether this game is worth buying, you have to ask yourself the question, how much are you actually going to play it, and do you think you'll actually enjoy it? So the way I think about this is, for example, when I bought Battlefield 4, I played about 500 hours, and it cost me roughly $60 US, so I got my value out of it, right? That's a lot of hours and a lot of time put into it, so if you think you're going to put that much time into this game, or any game for that matter, you should definitely buy it. But to ask yourself the question whether you're going to play the game that much for it to be worth it when you don't even own the game is pretty much ridiculous, right? You need to know if the game suits you or not. And that's really what this game is when it comes down to it. It's a very slow-paced game. If you're not into that, you're not going to like this game. People who are into really rushing all the time, fast-paced stuff, it's not going to be your thing. You can play solo and you can play with teammates. It's definitely recommended that you play with teammates, right? You really get an enjoyment factor out of really strategizing because there are so many combos in the game regarding what you can knock down. Pretty much everything is destructible. You can go through a bunch of different walls, plenty of entrances into certain objectives regarding TDM bomb. That's pretty much search and destroy in this game, so there's a lot of different options here. A criticism that I've seen, and which I can completely understand, is that it can be repetitive due to the same modes, the same gameplay, but that can be said about any game, and I think that's quite a ridiculous argument to say, this game sucks because I'm doing the same map and it's the exact same setup, they rush, we defend it. But that's really a skill within itself, when to place the barbed wire, for example, when to place your shields, you know, if you're on the attacking side, when to breach in, you got to work together. This is all implements of a game that really encourage teamwork. One criticism I have, however, regarding teamwork is that I don't think people will be encouraged to work together. I've already seen it so far while playing that there's so many scenarios where people are just going on their own, doing their own thing, especially in Terrorist Hunt, which is basically the zombie variation. If you've ever played COD Zombies, it's just taking down AI the whole time. People will not work together. The importance of a competitive mode and a competitive ranked system is so damn important to this game if you want people to work together. The problem I personally see that will happen in the future is people will just not work together, quite simply because there's no incentive. It's the same thing with games like Battlefield. The reason people don't play the objective is because there's no reason for them to. They'd rather just shoot down people like it's a team deathmatch. And that's what's going to happen with this game unless they actually add incentives. I believe if this game doesn't go down the competitive route, you'll see a lot of toxic players, a lot of trolls, which will make the experience almost unbearable no matter how good the game is or isn't, right? Like, this game, I believe, regarding gunplay, is great. Hit registry, from what I've seen, is absolutely fantastic. There are no issues regarding that. There is good map flow regarding when you're actually in the building. I would personally like to see, though, more of a respawn mode. We haven't really seen that where, for example, TDM domination, more of a fast-paced gameplay to really incentivize new players coming in, because when you first play this game, you're going to be like, what the heck is going on? It's going to be a totally different experience, and that's really cool as well. But I'd like to see a respawn game mode at the very least, because it's really important to really grow the game and to have more fun while playing. The trolls can go play on TDM and just respawn over and over again and leave the important stuff like the search and destroy variant, which is TDM bomb, to us. People who want to get really in depth and want to have a good time, not by throwing C4 at each other, which is the sticky bombs, which, oh my god, that's a pain in the ass. You know, just people who want to have a good time but not be trolling, and to use teamwork on both sides to really have a strategic game. One thing to consider regarding gameplay is that shields have been considered underpowered and overpowered. There are some people who think these things are absolutely insane, that bullets just don't go through, which is absolutely incorrect. That's not true at all. But there are some people who say they're too weak. Really, it's one of those things where you just got to get used to playing against the shields, and then you can counteract them. Right now, people are at a stage where they don't know how to counteract them. That's why they're screaming, oh, these shields are overpowered. I don't, they're just walking up to them with shields, and they can't do anything but shoot, and they can't do anything to counter it, which is a problem I definitely had when I first started playing as well. Another issue people have had is the lock-on system regarding when you want to scale walls, go up and down walls to get into buildings as well. You have to wait for the screen to actually lock on before you can actually do the task, and there seems to be a little bit of a delay there, which is definitely a concern and something that really does need to be addressed on the full game. Although I didn't see it as too much of an issue, I think it will be a serious issue down the line if you're doing competitive matches and you need to get to a certain point very fast and the thing won't lock on exactly when you want it to. That is a delay of time, and maybe that will risk whether you winning the round or not. Regarding weapons, time to kill is extremely fast, I must say, but it really goes down the realistic path, so that makes sense. I don't see it as much of a problem right now, although down the line I have a prediction that it may cause issues regarding like short range weapons, because for example, long range weapons are great at short and medium range. Then what's the point of using the short range weapons? You see what I'm saying? By the way, I gotta mention this. There is a bit of a problem I have regarding the time that it takes to actually get into these games. Okay, so it takes 45 seconds for you to select your weapon, and then it takes another, let's say 45 seconds to actually be in the game to see where the bomb is going to be. So that is 90 seconds of time taken that you're not playing. And for me, I know it's a tactical shooter, but boy oh boy, are you spending a lot of time in the menus. So to avoid dragging this video out, I'll summarize here. I think that they've got a lot of good things going. The right shield can be frustrating because if you don't have the hard counter to it, it's pretty much GG and you get a cheap death. I understand things like this can be a problem, and I agree, but for me, I understand why they do it, because there are so many counters with the operators that you really need to pick the right one. It's more of a guessing game than anything, and I could see a huge meta game even within the operators, which are obviously the classes that you can select. For example, if you're playing Battlefield, Medic, Support, Engineer, it's basically that, but instead, unlike Battlefield 4, these classes actually matter. Gunplay is very solid, going from the alpha stage where it was a huge problem because you'd get hit markers and all you'd have to do is shoot through the wall, and the hit markers would actually show up, so all you had to do is keep shooting through the wall and then you'd eventually kill the guy, leading to cheap deaths. That's no longer the case, and I'm very happy for that. So they've made a lot of positive changes. I'll have more videos on this game coming up to the release, but to ask the question whether the game is worth it or not, I would say yes. If you're into a tactical experience and that's what you've been looking for, this is definitely the game for that. If you're into games like Call of Duty and you hate waiting in menus for 4 hours, it's not really that bad, but if you hate waiting in menus, this is probably not the game for you if you don't have any patience or little patience, which I don't have sometimes. But for me, the game seems good, and really you're waiting there because the game is that good. You want to wait to get into these games because, again, it is that damn freaking good. So there it is, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. And if you did, please like, share, subscribe, and peace.